Welcome to Shawnee Union, and this week we're going to be talking about the Nikon 35mm f2.8 PC lens. It's a shift lens, and it's my first shift lens, so we'll go over why you need a shift, why I bought the lens, and then do I think anyone needs to have a shift lens like this. So why did I end up buying this lens? I was reading this book, read this if you want to be Instagram famous, and one of the authors talks about using shift lens to correct perspective distortion. So perspective distortion is when you take an image of a building like this, you're shooting up and the lines start to go, to lean backwards, or it looks like the building's leaning backwards. You can correct that by either getting a tilt shift lens or doing it with digital correction. So his method was to use digital correction, and here he's using an app called Screw It. So that's how I started too. I downloaded an app called Screw It on my phone, and I looked at some old pictures where the buildings looked like they were going backwards, and I was tilting my camera up, and I could easily tell there's a really cool effect when you corrected it. And so I did a bunch of images, and then I just went online and looked at some PC lenses or perspective control lenses. Most of them are really expensive, like $300 and $400 and up. But for some reason, the Nikon 35mm 2.8 was really cheap. It was $160 at used Photo Pro. So I picked it up, and then it came home. It's kind of an impulse purchase. So I was gonna wait a couple weeks, see if I liked it, see if I liked using it, and I ended up really liking it. So I'm gonna keep it. So next we'll go over the features of the lens, and then how to use it, how you're supposed to use it, and then how I end up using it. So on the lens is a little knob at the bottom that you're able to shift with. So you can shift 11 degrees. There's also 360 degrees of shift. So whatever direction you need to shift, up, down, left, or right, you're able to do that. This allows you to use it in horizontal mode and in vertical mode just as easy. The basic principle is you want to be looking straight ahead. So when you look straight ahead at something, there's no perspective distortion. And then you're going to shift the lens up because it's able to shift up to get the image you want. The best way to do this, and probably the recommended way to do this, is with the tripod. Putting the camera on a tripod, making sure everything is still, and then making sure everything is level. Once it's all level and you have your object you want to shoot in frame, you're going to shift your lens up and get it in frame, and you're going to have no perspective distortion. I thought that process was a little bit too difficult for me. I didn't like having a tripod or a monopod with me, so I just do it by hand. I go to a spot and look straight forward, and then just handheld, just shift the lens up a little bit and shoot. It does take a little bit of practice, and sometimes I have to readjust my hands. Like if I mess up and I forget what's the level, then I have to go back to my starting point. One trick though with a lens like this, and I think with other shift lenses, you want to meter before you shift. So if you meter after you shift, it's going to give off these really weird readings. So remember to meter before you shift. So how did the images look? Well, it was a pretty cool experiment. I was shooting some with my phone and then shifting it with the Screw It app, and then I was shooting those same images with the 35mm camera. I was using a Nikon FM camera with the lens on it. And the images look pretty similar. You can kind of tell the difference because one looks like it's shot on film and one looks like shot on digital. I do like the experience more of shooting it with the lens. It's a manual experience. It's a more tactile experience, so it's a pretty fun shooting with a lens like this. And I would definitely recommend it as well. The images were pretty contrasty and pretty sharp as well. So a good lens on its own, and then when you add the shift factor in there, it becomes even better lens because of that added benefit of being able to shift your lens up or down. So at the end of the day, would I recommend people get a lens like this? I would say if you're shooting a lot of architecture photos and things like that, first try out the app first. It's only $2. It's a great app. You can try it and see how it affects your images, and if you really like that look, if you really like that corrected image look. And then if you like that, I think maybe renting one for a weekend. I wish I did that. So that was the one thing, if I can go back and redo this. If I just rented it for a weekend and see if I liked it or didn't like it, maybe I wouldn't have bought one. But I do like it, and I do like my lens, so I'm glad I do. And I've also been shooting these type of pictures for forever, just like really flat imagery, buildings and buildings and storefronts and things like that. So I've been shooting this way for like 2 or 3 years, and getting this lens really, I really enjoy because I can shoot it now like pretty perfect and pretty dead on. They can be really expensive, but if you're shooting on mirrorless or you're shooting on digital cameras now, you probably get some adapters and pick up that Nikon one. That price is still going strong, so anywhere between $150 and $200 for the 35mm f2.8 PC lens. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. I will be back again next week with another one, and Have fun. Thank you guys. See ya. Man, 30 ticks. No, I want to.